Yo, I felt like doing a video, just flipping through an old video game magazine. I might do more if I enjoy this, but I'm starting with a Sega Dreamcast magazine. Favorite console, favorite company. And this one is mostly about Shenmue and Half-Life, but there's other stuff too. It starts with an Extreme Racer 2 ad, which is actually a really, really good racing series, and it just got a new game as well, kind of a reboot. That's also really good. I believe it's on every platform now. I won't commentate on everything we see. So if I go through several pages without saying anything, don't be surprised. Grandia 2 is a really good JRPG, and I don't like many JRPGs, so that's saying a lot. This page is about a demo disc they were previewing. I've heard Star Wars Jedi Power Battles is really good. It got a average port recently, I think. Smoking ads in old video game magazines were really common, actually. And they also did these mail things where people could mail in questions, or just, you know, whatever really, and they might comment on them. I used to like going through old video game magazines with friends and just looking at the games, because we couldn't afford, too many. So it was always cool looking at magazines to see what was coming out. I also didn't have a PC until I was, around 10 or so. It's crazy that Dreamcast price dropped down to $149. I never realized it was that cheap. I guess it wasn't cheap at the time, but Tombstone pizza ad. Never played 100 Swords. Phantasy Star Online is one of the best video games ever made, I believe. There were only, I believe, 15 or so Dreamcast magazines made. Maybe less than that. And I think almost all of them have some kind of a reference to Seaman. Capcom was a big supporter of the Dreamcast back in the day. You'll notice a lot of skateboarding stuff in these magazines as well, if we do more videos like this. Then Half-Life, which I actually didn't even know it was on Dreamcast until I got this magazine. Granted, I'm not a very big Valve fan to begin with. I never played Old Bleed. I believe it's survival horror. The genre listed is haunted house sim. This was back when developers and publishers were trying to create their own genres, kind of like Capcom did with survival horror, which they technically weren't the first survival horror game, but this was also back when really weird controllers and such would get made pretty often. Back when sports games were pretty decent. Sega sports games were always really good, actually. More Half-Life. It'd be interesting to look up some stories people have about Half-Life Online on Dreamcast. I knew there were several online games on the Dreamcast, but the only one I played particularly was Phantasy Star Online. I never played like an FPS on it that I can think of. At least one like Half-Life. This was back when you had to mail in your subscriptions. Some of them were dicey. You'd have to like write down your card info and put it in the mail. This one, you just write the address and give them a check. Or the money in the envelope. That was always really sketchy to me. And pervy ads that are in pretty much every video game magazine from the time. Then Shenmue, the precursor to Yakuza. The man that started Yakuza, Satoshi, worked on Shenmue 2, I believe it was. I don't think he worked on the first game. Shenmue isn't a combat-driven game, but it actually uses Virtua Fighter combat in it. And then there's mini games like, you know, akin to Yakuza. And a really bad forklift game that people really like for some reason. There was always something really cool about going through magazines with friends and stuff and seeing all the art and the cool advertisements. And it just feels a lot more real, you know, flipping through the pages than what I could have done, you know, recording my screen on my PC and recording me going through a digital version of magazines. I don't really want to do that, but, you know, we'll see. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's nice that those games are all getting ports and stuff with the collections. Skies of Arcadia is apparently an incredible game, but I've never played it. But it was on GameCube as well, and a lot of people really enjoyed the game. I've never looked into it much because I'd like to play it someday, but it's so expensive. I'd really rather, you know, wait for an eventual remaster or port if it ever happens. I'm a huge Evil Dead fan as well. The games are super hit and miss though. Urban Chaos is supposed to be pretty decent, but I never played that one either. I played Jet Set Radio, but I never played any of the other games. I believe there's 3. It's something I should get around to at some point. Sega's fishing games were always really good too. And Samba also got a Switch game. Switch 2 game, I believe. I never played those games either though. The next book, if I do another one of these, the next book I'm thinking about going through is actually the Pokemon Adventure art book. I thought that would be kind of cool. And we'll also see if, I decide to change the format of how I do this. I don't mind doing it this way, but I don't know how pleasant it is to watch. Funko Land. We never had one where I lived. I don't think. But I've heard Game Chasers mention it occasionally. Pokemon Shuffle. It's kind of like a party game. That's one of few Sonic games I never played. Silent Scope was one I did play as well, but it's not very good. I don't think so anyway. But it was of its time for sure. It didn't even occur to me that UFC is as old as it is. For some reason I feel like I only started noticing it in the 2000s. But I suppose it may have been late 90s, early 2000s. I'm a fan of wrestling, but I don't particularly watch UFC that much. Unlike the Nintendo 64, the Dreamcast was really big on RPGs. Didn't even know Dinosaur had a game. Pretty much any Sega sports game at the time killed it. They always really cared about the games they make. Surprised they gave Toy Story 2 a 2. It's actually a really nice game. Echo the Dolphin is a really pretty game. Gunbird 2 actually is on everything as well. The first one too. But I wouldn't really recommend it. Unreal Tournament. That also wasn't a series I tried until the Xbox 360. I believe it was Unreal Tournament 3. Could be wrong though. Also had a poster of it from GameStop. Gundam. It's crazy seeing Toonami advertised. I don't remember seeing many Toonami ads in video game magazines. They actually do reviews though, or did. And this, you could order like CDs and stuff on here. $12 CDs for the price of one. Street Fighter. Like I said, Capcom was killing it on Dreamcast. Capcom's had its issues, but they are probably one of the most consistently quality publishers out there. Not as good as Sega, though, in my opinion. D2 is a pretty expensive game as well, I believe. That's a survival horror game, too. Japanese horror. And, that's another game I haven't played yet, just because I'm hoping for an eventual port or a remaster of some kind. And these are like cheats and stuff. Just cheat codes used to be really popular in games. Legacy of Kain. A few games I've never even heard of. The back of the magazines were usually just cheat codes, some quizzes and stuff like that. Yeah, there's usually not much in the back. And the back of the cover is Power Stone 2, an incredible fighting game. There aren't many fighting games like it, but anyone that watched this all the way through, I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed looking through it with me. Like I said, I'd like to do more of these. I think the next one will be either a Nintendo Fan Club magazine, which was their magazine before Nintendo Power, or Pokemon Adventures art book. And yeah, if I get much feedback, I'll consider changing the format, or keeping to something similar like this where it feels more real. But thanks for watching.